what's up, everybody? This is Jared with the Photographic Collective Podcast. I'm here with Miles, like always. We got an awesome guest to really kick off our year, 2026, Jon Taylor Sweet. We got him on the podcast finally, and he had some really cool stuff to say.
Guys, the reality of getting Jon Taylor Sweet on a podcast at all is kind of a big deal. This dude, he's
easy.
good at freaking everything. Okay, so if you don't know who he is, that means you don't have Instagram, and so now would be the time to download that app. I know it's kind of an up and coming. Jon is everywhere. He's a prolific photographer in Nashville, shooting musicians, big name musicians. Some of my favorite albums. The dude has just happened to shoot the cover. That's
cool.
Rad. But also has for a decade now managed to shoot 30 weddings a year, and his wedding work is insane. His editing concepts are unbelievable.
Very gifted.
Yeah. Okay. So the dude gives us everything, and then in the aftercast, he gives us everything 2.0. He actually gives us everything.
More.
Yeah. The hardest part about this conversation, Jared, was getting a word in edgewise. Jon is a talker, man. The guy is, he's awesome.
Stuff,
it was so good just to hear him speak truth.
Yeah.
Man, speak truth. So welcome to this episode. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to the Photoco Podcast, which we should probably go ahead and rename it. And yeah, Jared, take us there.
All right, here's Jon Taylor Sweet.
Before we go into where you are and who you are, can we invite you? Did you need to come hang out with us here? Have you ever had Onyx coffee? Do you know what Onyx coffee is?
Yeah, I'm in love with some of it, not all of it.
Okay, well that's fair. So we live at the headquarters, like John
That's
and
awesome.
Andrea are from here.
Where are they? Are they like Arkansas? Where is that?
Yeah.
Where's
It's
Arkansas?
a state, kind of.
Yeah,
where is Arkansas?
If you
Walmart?
hit Oklahoma,
Yeah.
you've gone too far.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. In
I
every
shot a
situation,
wedding.
regardless of.
I shot a wedding in Arkansas once. It was beautiful.
Yeah?
Come
It
on,
was
where at?
You know, like those cool, like Lord of the Rings cathedral thingies.
Yeah, the glass chapels.
Yeah, those glass chapels. I shot a wedding there for a dear friend.
Very cool.
Well, like last year, the year before.
We already have
It was
something
awesome.
in common.
Come on, man.
Look at that.
It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Which one? There's like 5 of them. Which one were you at? Do you know? Do you know the town you were in? It's okay if you don't.
No. I got this. I flew into that one town. There's like one town in Arkansas, yeah?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
the
just
one.
one.
Yeah.
Just the one. So I flew into there and then drove out to like the hot springs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were at Anthony Chapel. Yeah, so that's the other side of the state from us.
Oof.
Oh yeah.
We live where
that's-
there are no towns over.
Some,
But that's not
some
that-
call it the
but
dark
it's-
side.
Yeah, but it's not that far, right? It's only like a 15-minute drive.
So we're about 4 hours from there, but it's a big state. Like I said, if you hit Oklahoma, you've gone too far. This is
You just have to drive to
be
the other side. You just have to drive
an
to the other side of
unhinged
Walmart,
conversation.
right?
Yeah, well, it's
Something
just
like
a
that.
really large Walmart. When you hit Arkansas, you scan your passport, and then you're in Walmart until you leave Arkansas.
Out the
Yeah,
back door.
that sounds about right.
But Hot
Out the
Springs
back
is
door.
out the back door.
Yeah,
sure.
Hot Springs is the back door.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
was
I can't believe it.
amazing.
Some of our favorite weddings have been there, Jared, and now we just recorded us saying that. That's okay.
I mean, it was incredible.
They
I was
would
losing my mind there. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's
It
really
was-
cool.
Such an insane venue. And
Yeah,
there's
that
like-
chapel's really cool. There's nothing else, which is a little, but it's a cool space for sure. You could shoot there. You could shoot there a lot and still have plenty of ideas.
Yeah. And even the other ones that they built across Arkansas are just insane.
Yeah.
They're like
yeah, we've
one
got
of a kind.
one about 15 minutes from us that we're at more often, for sure.
John,
in
do
the
you
lines.
shoot a lot of weddings?
I do. Yeah, I do. I've done about 30 a year for the last 10, 11 years.
Is that kind of your
And-
sweet spot? Is like 30 kind of like where you cap it?
Yeah, I won't go above it.
That's where we've kind of
Yeah.
landed too.
But
Mm.
It feels
I-
like sustainable.
I won't go above like 12 now, starting
Yeah.
this year.
Okay.
Yeah. What was the pivot there for you?
Quality of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I was just what am I doing to myself? Because it's when you're shooting 30 a year, like you're committed to just doing that. But I don't just shoot weddings, and so my my quality of life was just married to work, and I was like, there's so much more that this life has to give than just work. So I just wanted to make that adjustment, because since if I just shot weddings, 30 a year is very attainable. Like that's easy work.
Yeah.
But the moment that you go past 30, you're kind of signing up for more than a full-time job. Plus, if you shoot everything else that I shoot, you just don't have a life. Like, so I'd be working. This has literally been the story of my life for like the last, like, gosh, what is it, 6-7 years, is from like end of January to Thanksgiving, I genuinely don't have a day off. And I've for what? So like, just to say that I've done enough, or to just say that I'm filling my pocketbook, or for what reason? Like, just to have more stories to tell? Because if it's genuinely that, like if it's to have more stories to tell, then I think that I'm headed in the right direction. But there's moments where I felt like I said yes to too much, and then I'm not able to like genuinely give everything that I have to those things. And so the people that are hiring me, I'm having to like give like everything out of my empty tank, which is just to get through to give them exactly what they hired me for. And I just feel like everyone deserves more than that. So even though I feel like what I draw from my empty tank still serves my clients really, really well, it's just at what cost? Especially when you're traveling too. My nervous system would hit the fritz at the end of the year every year. And I'm like, what is going on? And it's because don't have a regular diet, drinking water from all over the United States, so your body's reacting to that differently. You don't have a normal sleep schedule, and when you get home, you just have to jump right in and act like nothing changed. And so, like, which is not possible. So, when you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night for years on end, it's just not going to do your body well. So, trying to make some radical adjustments just to, I want to show up well and give people a genuine experience. And even though I know I do that when I'm tired, I just think that it's better suited when I actually get 8 hours of sleep at night.
Dude,
so
what does that look like for you? I'm so curious. This is such a rad conversation. What does it look like for you? How do you know when your tank is full versus when your tank is empty? This is a conversation I've asked so many creative friends of mine, and everybody has a different vibe check there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is personality driven. So I think the answer should be different for everybody. And I don't think there is like a sustainable answer either. So the reason why I say it that way is because most photographers are incredibly introverted, and they get all of their energy by having alone time. And so I'm not built that way. I get all my energy by being around people. And so I'm dismissed to when my body is putting up warning signs. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not operating in it because I get all my energy from being around people. So it's like, I'll go hang out with my family for a night, and I'll lay in my bed awake for 2 hours because my brain can't shut off. Because like I was just so energized by being in the room with a bunch of people, even though they're people I've grown up with my whole life. So it gets even more escalated when I'm around strangers. So like even like an Imaging USA, where we were just at, there's a room full of thousands of people. My brain is circulating 1,000 miles an hour. And that's just where I get all my energy from. So when you're dismissed to how your body is genuinely feeling for that extended amount of time, because you're constantly around a ton of people, it doesn't hit you till late. So like for me, my body would recognize that it would be going nuts around Thanksgiving because I actually took a day off. So when I actually like calmed down, my nervous system was like, hey, we haven't
Panic
operated
mode.
like this. Oh yeah. I mean, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, my body's just shaking for no reason. And it's because my cortisol levels were finally leveling off, and you would think that I had diabetes.
Yeah. Wow.
It felt I had all the symptoms of diabetes, even though I knew I didn't have diabetes. It's just because my cortisol levels and my blood sugar and everything was just freaking out at me. So it was but that's to actually create sustainable like pathway and recognize those things, like I had to make conscious decisions to slow down.
Yeah.
So like being better at saying no. Like us photographers are really good at saying yes, because the only way we make money is if we show up. And so like figuring out more strategic ways to, you know, create balance and being able to like one thing I started doing is I would push shoots into just certain economies of light, like predicated on what we wanted to get. And so like if the shoot isn't till sunset, like I'm not going to work all day. Usually us photographers are like, okay, well, now I can catch up on my books. Now I can catch up on this. Now I can catch up on this. I can get some editing done. And there are moments where I have to do that because of deadlines or whatever. But I'll actually take like rest. I'll chill and let my brain take a break. And I'll go to the gym and hang out with my family and just give my body a rest. So that's something that I've just started since moving to Nashville. And it's been a game changer, because usually like I would deliver a wedding within 4 weeks, and I do all my editing still. I don't pass off anything. And I don't pass off anything to anybody, because that's just like the artist side of how I operate. And I want to be a part of all the intricacies and how things operate so that my client gets like an individual product from me. Which people have been able to do that by using like Imagine or other softwares that have been so cool with AI editing, like even Narrative, and what they've built is incredible. But I don't edit everything the same way. I edit everything different. So because of that, it's really hard to create a sustainable like streamline, because I'll get into a wedding gallery and I'll just start clicking through ideas, and I'll be like, man, that really services this well, and this services that well. And so like I'll maneuver all my coloring predicated on how I see it and how I feel it, versus being like, this is the brand that I've built, so it has to live this way. I do that through composition and light versus through coloring. And so it's a unique tightrope to balance. So when you're operating that way, you have to give yourself the space. And so that's something that I've had to challenge myself with, because I don't want to live my life waiting for another nervous breakdown every year, or having anxiety and all that kind of stuff. So finding a way to, because I'm not an anxious person. That's not my personality at all. And I went to the doctor and they're like, has anyone ever talked to you about anxiety? I'm like, what's that? Like, I don't, they're like, well, your body feels this way and this way and this way. It's because your brain's not shutting off. And it's actually anxiety. And even though I'm positively looking at it, I'm not looking at it negatively. It's because I also operate as an internal optimist, which has its pros and cons. But it's how do you make it work and make it understanding for your world and your life? So I know it's a unique thing where our industry pushes this idea of build your business, make your money. I'm now flipping the script on myself, where it's like, okay, how do I make a reasonable living where I can take care of my family and like put food on the table and just have an awesome quality of life?
That's cool.
Yeses don't take over the balance of good quality of life. I think no's do, and no's give you the space. And my outlook on the word no is not the same as everybody else. It means opportunity for the future. And so if you have a healthy no, you're gonna have really awesome yeses later on. And so I know that we just dove right in, but
no, that's really good, man.
This is good stuff, John.
Yeah. No, I love to not skip over this, because I think it relates to so many people, man. Like what you're saying is the life of a creative. You know, we're all struggling in that boat. I'd love to hear, like, can you share, like, what do your rhythms look like that keep you from that burnout? Like, what does your weekly rhythm look like?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's different every week. And so there isn't like I wouldn't say there isn't a correct cadence to how I design it.
Are there core things though, like in your life that you
there's
stick
core
to?
things for sure. So basketball is one of them.
Nice.
So I have to have a competitive outlet. I know it about myself. It releases so much for me. So I don't operate into anything with a overly busy mind. And so basketball is huge. I've been playing, finding basketball in Nashville has been tough, but at least basketball that I enjoy playing. I haven't found it complete yet, but I still found a couple of runs that I can go do and at least get a sweat. But it's like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning at 8 a.m. I go to the East Nashville Y and play with some friends. And so that's like a huge part of my world. Church is another big part of it. And actually going to a church where my family's like bought in at the same time is amazing. Back home, it was like a big up and down, and we didn't really have it consistently. And also, like, Seattle church culture isn't necessarily the greatest. So it's finding a place too where you like really enjoy taking your kids and all that kind of stuff is a big portion of it. So right away, we found that in Nashville, which is awesome. So we go every Sunday, which is amazing. Especially now that I'm not traveling as much, it's been a game changer because I can actually go. Because I'm not the pastor that I had before we moved, who's a dear friend and very thankful for his mentorship and care over my family and has been incredible even to this day, and being not in the same city. A conversation that we had really like benefited me well. And he like stopped me and he's like, John, I completely get it. I was like, what do you get? I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, I understand that Sundays weren't built for you. And I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. Like Sundays suck, especially for wedding photographers and people that operate on the creative zone. And like, if you are taking an engagement session or a wedding or a family thing, or even some commercial stuff, and even, like artist work and all that kind of stuff, is weekends are always our hot time. Like that's where we work primarily. And, so like Sunday mornings, if I had one open, the last thing I wanted to do was to leave my house. Like I would just like want to lounge
your
in
bed.
Yeah. I'm like, I just want to chill. Like give me a cup of coffee. And then hopefully by noon, like I'm even getting out of my sweats, like if I have to be anywhere. So, he gave me a really cool perspective where it was like, I understand that what we built isn't built for you. And I'll leave it short, but he got to the point where he was, the moment you neglect your Christian community, then I'm going to come find you, and we're going to make sure that we get you set into the right spot. And, so like that was really cool. And, all that to say, even too, with your podcast and all that kind of stuff, for people that are listening that aren't necessarily faith people, faith is a big part of my journey and how I operate and how I navigate my career and all that kind of stuff. So if that's dismissed to whoever's listening, that's fine. I don't mean to step on your toes, but it's just a big part of my world. And
ours too.
It's helped shape so much of my perspective and all that. So
yeah, that's big, man. I think anybody, unless they're like first time listeners, anybody that's chimed into this episode or this podcast before is expecting that.
You're in good company.
So.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. But yeah, church is definitely one of those things that I love to have as a bedrock to my sanity.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it's definitely a game changer that way.
Dude, I love that. I'm going to tell you a story. I told Jared this on the phone a few minutes ago. I sent a very unsolicited, you were talking about imaging. The last time that we hung out, actually the only time you and I have ever hung out, was at dinner in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I need to pull that photo off. I have a photo of me and you and Greg Peterson, who did our original preset pack with G presets, and Jeremy Cowart. Dude, 3 like Nashville legends. I just sat there. I don't even know if you knew that, but I sat there at one point. I was talking to Summer Grace and hanging out with just some friends. I kind of looked over and I was like, how cool is it that those 3 men, like pivotal men in my life in different ways, in different, like, whether you guys know it or not, or have any concept of that or whatever, are all having a conversation. That's why I went over and I was like, I just need to interject.
I gotta document this.
What the heck is happening? And that's why, like, John Branch is the only person that knew how to shoot a Fujifilm camera. So I was like, grab this and take a picture. But I sent Jeremy this morning. He was talking about how for as much time as he spends on his health, especially with some of his health stuff that's up and down right now anyway, and working out and trying to be very fitness focused, he's like, how cool is it that when I like get up and I get 1 mile on the treadmill, I feel so much better. Like, I just feel better after 1 mile. And I was thinking through this. I wanted your perspective on this. I think it's relevant for everything you just said. I was thinking through how cool it is that, like, I'm talking Genesis 1, like, beginning of the Bible, God creates us. And one of the first things he ever asks us to do is to create with our voices, to name things, to literally out of nowhere, to create the name of these animals. And then he invites us to go walk with him through the garden. And it's like, it was like our first things that he ever really asked of humanity was like, hey, can you create and can you move?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I don't know if you guys, all our listeners may have now bailed, but for whatever reason, I'm like, man, talking about like rhythms of life, talking about postures of life. I'm like, man, if you're an artist and you aren't daily moving, if you're not daily creating, I think you're probably getting further away from your creator.
Yeah.
Design.
Sure. It's a cool perspective.
Anyway, wow, cool.
I think
Welcome to hermeneutics with Miles Wood Boyer. Theology 101. I'm going to shut up on my own podcast.
No, you're good. I think that's a really cool perspective because even waking up to create, even for us photographers, sometimes it's not with our camera. Sometimes it's just with our brain. So it's finding an avenue to think past, the things that we've already built. And so, like, what does it look like to have some ingenuity and some spontaneity and some opportunity just to think past our normalcy is, I think, really important. So, and that's actually one thing I love about Jeremy Cower. I feel like he does that every day because he's doing something so wildly insane in our industry all the time. So it's really fun to just watch. Like, if you don't follow him, you should, because you're just going to be inspired. Because you're like when he just posted about this 2016, like he lit an entire shoot with drones. And I was like, what?
Yeah, like, your creativity 10 years ago was 10 years ahead of where I am right now. Hey, John, can I tell you though? Can I compliment you and say I feel the same way about your work? I genuinely do. That. Like, dude, I want to get there and talk about your work, like, because you're a prolific, like, you're a well-known wedding photographer that doesn't bother to post wedding photos unless they fit in with your creative perspective. Like, you're sharing work that is so conceptual, it's unreal.
I appreciate that. And I can't take credit for all of it, that's for sure. And the main reason why I say that is because you can't do it without the other minds and the people that are either in it or around it. So it's definitely collaborative, and I'm just thankful that I got the chance to be in the room and to be a part of the projects I've been a part of. And even the weddings, like, some people have a lot of ideas, and your goal is to help those ideas come to life. And then some people just give you the reins, and then you have to just, figure it out when you go and as you go. And so it's definitely, it's a unique thing. Starting the way that I did and how everything got started, like, there's no methodology to the magic. And I've never created, like, I'm not a technical shooter. Like, if you were to watch me actually shoot, I'm not a technical shooter. Like, a lot of photographers would be like, what are you doing? Then that's like the fun part about, guy? Yeah, exactly. And that's the fun part about what we do. You're the guy that gives Jason Vincent a twitch. Yeah, exactly. Like, even, I don't know if you guys know who this is, but his name's Tanner Wendell Stewart, and he's a OG photographer and Nikon shooter, which I don't know why, but he is. And and he was my roommate when before we both got married, and we shared a bunk bed in Bellevue because we were paying like no rent, which was awesome. Nice. And we're both full-time photographers, but I would go shoot stuff and I would come home and I'd edit it and I'd be done in a couple hours. And he would go shoot and then he comes home and then he spends like 10, 15, 20 hours on an image. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like time to get the ball rolling. But then he would come over my shoulder and he would look at me editing and he'd be like, dude, this and this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, bro, I'm not looking at any of those things. I'm just lost in the moment. And so there was a huge separation between his technicality and my moments. But that's the cool thing that's so subjective about our industry is how you see the world, no one can replace. How I see the world, no one can replace. And it's my hope that when someone hires me, that they feel like I got lost in the moments of whatever was going on. And it's my hope that whoever hires Tanner realizes that they're going to get an absolutely perfect image. And so there is, which is so cool. And I love the distinction of our industry. And it's so beautiful that way because it's so creative in ways that people don't even, especially people that are hiring that have no nuance to what we do, understand the depths and the layers of artistry. And so it's always my hope that people just get a genuine notion to how I see the world whenever I'm a part of any project. Because I look at myself as an artist. I don't look at myself as a stamped business that you're used to seeing anywhere and everywhere. That's not who I am. That's not how I operate. That's not how I see the world. And it's crazy to think that I've been able to make a living for 12 years full time.
Yeah.
With that in mind. It's like people have taken a gamble on me for years and years and years. And it's just been cool to see the doors that God's opened. And
so cool.
I've been very thankful that I've ran through them. So I'm really thankful for your words, Miles. And it's likewise, like we're all encouraged by how you see the world. And there's so many moments that you get to look at and you just get joy in seeing people, operate and do things really cool. And so it's fun to be able to share the photo space with you. And it's fun to be able to see our peers also be successful. I'm such a fan of our whole industry being elevated and versus one person having the torch. You know what I mean? That doesn't serve a purpose. But if we can all be successful and we all have an opportunity to, do what we love to do, then we're winning. So it's a fun industry to be a part of, and I'm grateful that I get to share the space with you. And so I'm really appreciative for your words.
Very cool. Jon, one thing I really was looking forward to talking to you about was your commercial side of work that you do. When we first talked to you, you told us it's all about people. I'd love to hear your perspective on how do we make commercial work about people, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I I just operate so different. A lot of people just go for the bag right away. And because if you get an email, like a lot of people, like if you get like an email from, let me go back to like an early gig. So like when I worked with Jameson, like forever ago, like in my early days of my career.
We're talking Jameson whiskey?
Yeah, Jameson whiskey.
Yeah, let's go.
And so like they email me because they want me to jump into this campaign or whatever and document. And I was like, yeah, this sounds cool. Like on my email, I'm like, this sounds cool. Can we jump on a call? And they're like, what? Like, because they're not used to that. They're used to just like, okay, cool. Here's the invoice. This is what we got to do. Like they're used to like the technicalities of
bam, bam, bam. Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. And I'm just a relationship guy. Like if I don't know who I'm working for and I don't have a face to call home with what I'm doing, then it doesn't really serve a purpose for me. And in that regard, it doesn't serve a purpose on the other side of it either. So, and even on the money side, they're like, every company has like fiscals that they're operating in, and especially with commercial stuff. So they're used to paying like a formal day rate, and they're used to paying like formalities along the way, and how much you charge for your gear and X, Y, and Z, and how much it costs for you to edit and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, so what budget you guys rolling with? They're like, well, we have this to play with. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what if we can get here? And then just don't worry about any of the other details. Just send me a full buyout. And they're like, oh, what? So I'm like, for me, I don't need the licensing. I want the work.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a very strange thing for anyone that shoots commercial. They're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, for me, it's about the relationship. So I ran a full cycle with that agency with Jameson. So every time there was something that came up, Jameson gave me a call. And with whatever campaigns that they were rolling on. And instead of it just being a one and done, I got several other opportunities out of it and was able to build trust. And so that's like, for me, is what I call to mind is with even like commercial work and anything that operates outside of a wedding, is where do we build trust, and how can we do that in a really cool way where it's about us as people versus about the wallet that we're trying to fill. And I'm a firm believer that comes, and there's also the other side of it, and I completely understand it. This is just how I've operated. Is companies have the money to pay and they're willing to pay it. And for me, I'm just like, okay, what if we can notch this just a little step further? What if it's not just about the money being paid and the work that's being done, but the people that are behind it all? Like, I think there's friends and trust that are able to be made, and those things last a lifetime. The work is subjective to a certain time. And even though I can look back on it and have its moments and the emotion that it pulls for just me, particularly as an artist, but friendships, in my opinion, and the people that are behind it all last way longer. And so I've always tried to turn everything that I do towards the person, versus about the gig, if that makes sense. So when you ask about commercial work, I've always tried to humanize it. I've always tried to put a personality behind it. I've always tried to make it feel like there's somebody that's in the room with it versus just a product. So
that's good.
If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's super relevant.
I know that my posture is very ethereal in thought for how business should be ran, but it's worked for me, and I wake up in the morning happy, and so but if my perspective can help somebody, great, because if they're trying to operate out of their strengths, that's always really hard to do every day. So if a new perspective can give wind to somebody, then great.
Yeah. And I would say, I think not only is this like wildly relevant, I love that we've gotten here with this, because there's also sort of this like extremely wild level of arrogance in our industry. That's like, there is a way to do things. And I think I've actually
That's a good way to put it.
I've said the inversion so much of like how sometimes I wish, not all the time, but sometimes I wish that there was some level of like accreditation to this industry. Like, you have to pass the LSATs to be a lawyer. You have to go to med school to be a doctor. You have to, like, to be a photographer, you've got to run to Costco and spend $399 on your first Canon camera. And then and that's it. That is your barrier to entry. And I've said so many times that like, you actually would get further than you would on that.
I did. Yeah.
But like, and so there have been times where I've said like, I really wish there was some level of accreditation to this. But then the flip side of that is, in reality, what I think our biggest struggle right now as an industry is that you have some big names, some big voices screaming at people that there is a way to do things. And it really alienates people that feel very uncomfortable doing things that way. Like, everything you just said, Jon, is how I feel all the time. Like, we get a call it's really funny to hear you tell that story, because I would bet about the same time you were working with Jameson, I was working with McKellen.
Probably.
And I was doing the McKellen Scotch via an agency that I had built a great relationship with. And they just called me. They would just actually, not even that, I would just get a text from this girl at the agency that was like, hey, we've got this campaign coming. Do you want it? Yeah. She's like, can you get to New York? It's like an in-person thing. Like, a little bit of influence needs to be involved. And I'm like, bet, She's like, cool. Are you gonna send me a quote? And I'm like, I mean, I can, or we can just, let's tackle it. We'll see how the chips fall, and I'll make sure I don't blow the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
And we made great work like that, right? And then she ended up leaving to another agency, and all of a sudden it was crickets again because, to your point, the relationship changed, right? So it's like I didn't have a relationship with the bottle of McKellen. Thank the Lord, that would be awkward. But I had although I've got a lot of McKellen right here, but I had a relationship with a human that believed in my work, and I think that says a lot about who we are and like what we value. So, okay. So dude, at the risk of this going for too long,
dude, just send it. Let's have this be the longest one you've ever done.
Dude, you don't want to try and beat Jonas Peterson's episode, man.
Yeah, it was like 2 hours.
Yeah. It was like 2-2-hour episodes. Weren't we on that call with him for 3.5 weeks? I think it was like a month of my life. Dude, so, but like, can you give me just a high level, like, how does a guy from Seattle move to Nashville, obviously super creative and super artistic, that started with an iPhone? Like, what does this evolution look like? And I don't mean like, please, Lord, don't tell me that you picked up a camera at 6 years old and you knew. Like, I want to know from an artist's perspective how you found your voice.
Well, I don't think that, I wouldn't say that I've found it, because I don't think that a voice defines my work in any pedigree whatsoever. The main reason why is because every day is a new day and you have no idea what's going to show up. So I would try to let my character be the first thing that you see versus like my work. Like, I would hope that a conversation would lead to validity with how I've operated over the years. But I had no desire to actually be a photographer. That wasn't something that I was thinking about when I was young or even in high school. I had no idea that I even could think creatively when I was in high school. I was a gym rat. I played basketball every day of my life. And I also did ministry. So I was like mulling around this idea of potentially going to Bible college and playing basketball at that Bible college and just trying to figure it out from there and figure out what I was going to do. And my pastor at the time, was like, dude, you have no idea what you're doing. And I'm like, you're not wrong. I have no idea. He goes, why don't you go try out this program? And so I went to a 1-year Bible school right after I graduated. That was just like a gap year program. And so it just allowed me to just kind of chill and learn more about Jesus, which is great, even though I was in my Bible every day. And it was just cool to listen to crazy theological takes and amazing exegetical teaching and all that kind of stuff for 28 hours of lecture a week, and being inspired and think differently and all that kind of stuff about what I believed in and who I knew Jesus to be. And so I did that. And then I would wake up in the morning, though, to go open up the coffee stand at the college. And on my walk over, I would see this beautiful sunrise every morning. And because my campus was sat on a beautiful lake in Washington. So I would take photos on my phone. And I started thinking about photos because of those moments, like waking up to see just God's creation. And then that kind of transpired after I graduated from that program. I was making coffee at some places nearby in just Washington and fell in love with the coffee industry. And so then my inspiration went towards coffee, and thought I was going to own a coffee shop and was just going to go that whole route. And I was your classic hipster barista with a camera.
Yeah, you were.
AKA my phone. Like, I wore the classic Filson flannel and wore a beanie, like the whole thing, way too tight of jeans with
what was your favorite filter?
Dude, that's still my life.
Yeah. So I would, Visco filter at the time, I think we were using M5, but even before then, when it was just like we would use the Instagram filters, it was like either lo-fi or what was the one that like took out all the color but still like kind of looked okay? What was that one?
Those were the good days.
Classic Chrome.
Yeah. That's great. So started chomping around Washington after I'd get off shift, and I would just run up to Mount Rainier. I'd run up to, because it was in our back door, and then I would run over to like the North Cascades or just whatever else was available, which Washington is just full of it. And just take mountain photos. And then I would start having friends jump in the frame. And you're probably familiar with a phrase called Jumpstagram. And then we would have people like hang off stuff. And that was like Hangstagram. And then we would do like all this random stuff, like all the IG trends back in the day. And then you would you would post something and then you put 30 hashtags on it. And then you delete them after like 5 minutes. And then you throw another 30 hashtags on it. And then you're just like, the whole like, yeah, just get after it. And, so like I would try to find a way to post every day, and like the whole Instagram thing kind of just took off. I remember I got suggested, so like the suggested user list. I don't know if you guys remember it at all, but
yeah,
Instagram would follow you, and then they would put you like onto a suggested user list so that whoever joined Instagram could have representations of what they think are like awesome follows or whatever. So me and all my friends would we would get on that list, and then our accounts would just take off. So like I remember the first time it happened, I went from like 2,000 followers or whatever to like 28,000, and I was like, in the matter of like 2 weeks, and it's like all new people at the time too. Well, I was like, what is happening? Like, I don't even know 30,000 people. I don't even, it was before bots, world now. You know? Yeah. And I was, but like for me, perspective always came in. I'm like, man, if there was 30,000 people in front of me right now, like that's an arena. So like, I'm like, this is insane. Cause at the time that was like the whole Instagrammer thing predates influencer. Yeah, so it's like we were called the Instagrammers, so which is hilarious. And so like we're just running around like freaking idiots just to cool nature spots, grabbing stuff on our iPhone. And then we would start creating cool compositions and learning how to edit on Visco. And that's what taught me how to color grade, and how to do like artistic crops. And then, a friend of mine bought me a camera, and he was like, "You're too good at this thing to not be, you know, considering doing this full time." And so a buddy of mine, B. White, he bought me a camera. And the rest was kind of history. Like that year I booked 18 weddings and was working commercial campaigns for God knows who. It was like kind of just happening like all at once. And it steamrolled. Like I got suggested once, and then I was on every article under the sun, from Hypebeast to BuzzFeed to Thrillist to whatever it might be, and then suggested again, and then suggested again, and then it was just chaos. So I was like, literally in the matter of like 3 months, it felt like I went from no idea what I'm doing to then all of a sudden I have to like show up and be a professional. So I was like kind of forced to work things backwards. A lot of our industry is taught to build from the ground up. I was taught to build from the top of the building down, and which is a really unique perspective, because you're not technical. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. I would show up into rooms and they're like, "Hey, we need you to shoot this." I'm like, I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. Like that's kind of been my MO, like professionally, has been like, I don't have all the answers, but I'll give it everything I got. Like I'll just show up and just try to serve well with what I have. And so I shot a Sounders campaign with my iPhone. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. Like, this is absurd. And so just like stuff like that, where it's just all these nods to like, okay, well, if you don't run through the door, probably dumb. So that was kind of like my mindset. It was like, if God is really like forcing my hand in this, I should probably consider it. And so it was, it just turned into me becoming a photographer, which is hilarious. It's still laugh about it sometimes, because it's like, it's just not my first wheelhouse. But then I started leaning into like, okay, where did some of this stuff come from? And so like I would walk into my grandma's house and realize that all the oil paintings on her wall are hers. And they're amazing. Like they're beautiful. And then, my cousin, who is the greatest creative in my family, and he knows this, like he's insane. But like what I would watch him do with just an iPhone, I literally was like, oh, you're like generational. Like there's nobody like my cousin CJ. Like I don't know, Miles, if you remember CJ Sweet or not, but, like he would do all these crazy, like, composites. And so he
Okay.
would essentially like recreate images with just his brain, but he would do it all on his phone. So he used an app called Art Studio, and it essentially operated like Photoshop, and he would just build all these crazy layers and all this kind of stuff. It was
He's like the
it
human
was
AI.
oh, it was nuts. Like he would make like 3D dimensional images before that was like even like a thing with what we were used to seeing like on Instagram. So like it was but like I realized that there was a lot of creativity in my family. And my dad was played music and was a production engineer and all that kind of stuff. So like there was so many nods to creativity in my family that I just didn't understand and realized that those were in my blood. And so it's been fun over the years, like unlocking these things that God has put in my DNA. And so I'm not a perfectionist by any means. I'm very much a moment guy. I love to live in the moment, and it's been cool to see how things have transpired over the years, like professionally. I never thought that running around Washington with an iPhone would turn into a 12-year-long career, and me moving to Nashville 4 months ago, to pursue another side of things, of doors that have opened, and just see it through. So it's really fun, and it's a blast to even think of the stories over the years. I was talking to a buddy of mine not too long ago. I was like, I can't believe in 20 years from now, like we're going to be old men sitting on a rocker, smoking a cigar, drinking some whiskey, and like looking
Jameson.
back and looking back at all these
Full
stories,
circle.
you know?
Wow.
So I just always just try to find moments to, even like with that attitude of service, it's like, even though I'm doing it with clients and getting paid, I try to find room to do that for free too, where I can be creative and help the world become a better place, even if it's just through my camera. So I love partnering with organizations. I love storyboarding for them so that they have better high quality images that they can use to serve a purpose and, you know, get them across the finish line for whatever project they got going on. So I don't know, it's crazy. That's a very long-winded answer to, you know.
No, that's really
to the
good.
seat that
I
I'm in
guess
now.
I'm curious about like what was the hard part in that? Like what did Jon Taylor Sweet struggle with from the 2,000 followers to 28,000 followers? Like, were you Mr. Confident, or like were you struggling with doubt during this time? Like, what was hard about that?
More like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like
Like, are you imposter syndroming? Like, is it like what am I doing?
I would say for some of it, and I would hope that a lot of other Instagrammers would agree, is that we were like professional regurgitators. You know what I mean? It was like, especially in the Instagram days, like so many of us were encouraged by other things that we were seeing online. So we were just going to do those things, but we were doing our version of it. And that's even like with wedding culture today, what we've seen is like, yeah, are there people that kind of pave the way for so much of how we do things? Absolutely. And, a lot of us are regurgitators that way with how we even see with wedding trends and what people want and how then we perceive it. My biggest thing is I've always just tried to be honest with myself and say that, like, yeah, cool, you want this thing, but you're going to get my version of it. I don't know how to do what that other person did. And it's like, if you want a certain pose, like, yeah, we could try it, but it's going to look like how I would see it versus that person that shot it. And so I'd always just try to be honest with those things, because and it's another way of just giving honor to where honor's due. It's like some of these people came up with amazing ideas, and with those amazing ideas, I think they deserve to, you know, get the respect that they're deserving of. And so like there's moments like where there's probably things that I've done that have helped other creatives, you know, like see things different. And that's always my hope, is that I can be as much as I've been encouraged, that I can encourage somebody else. So I think there's a lot of give and take in our industry, but in terms of that question, in terms of struggle, it's like, I'm not like the most book smart. Like I'm so far away from book smart. It's insane. I hated high school. Like there's nothing about it that encouraged me as an individual. Like grades were never a good thing for me. But the thing is, in my head, I would understand all of it, but doing the extra, like little bit of work was something that like teachers had expectations for. But I couldn't reason the idea that I'm still getting the answer right, but I didn't do the work. So like, there was like this really weird like education thing where I'm like, what is going on here? So I've never been like very book smart. So like when you start bringing in a bunch of money and you have to like do it right so the IRS doesn't come find you. Like in terms of struggle, like let's be honest, like an accountant saved my life.
Yeah.
So it's and so like and I was very honest with myself about that. Like I'm not a whiz when it comes to financials in terms of what everything to write off and all that kind of stuff. But what I can say is that I love to listen, and my accountant has done a lot of wonders for me. And so like if I look at struggles, like that was definitely one of them, because the moment that I found my accountant, like my life changed. So it was, but like other like practical things, it's like, I remember when I shot my first concert, and like I had to go show up to this shoot with my camera, and I'm like, it's dark. Like, how do I shoot with a 5D classic in the dark? And all I had at the time was a 5D classic, and yeah, I think it was a 5D classic with like a 50 millimeter 1.4. And I'm like, all right, I guess we'll figure this thing out. I didn't even know, like a 50 is good for some circumstances. And there's also like at concerts, like it's kind of nice to get some wide angle stuff, and I legit had no idea what I was doing, but like friends of mine were like, just come hang. And so I literally shoot the show, and I get it all into my editing platform, and I just knew that he loved everything dark and moody. And if he sees his face sometimes, great. Like if he doesn't at all, then he's happy still. And so I'm like understanding what he wants. And so what I did is I just showed up the best I could and gave him a product that he loved, and turned into, now I still work with him to this day, and it's a ton of fun. So it's for me, it wasn't about my inabilities. It was more about how can I just show up and try. But that's a hard thing to navigate sometimes, especially when you're surrounded by an industry where professionalism is 100% key. And in a lot of ways, because if you don't do it right, then sometimes people aren't happy, especially if they're paying. So there's definitely been a lot of trial and error. Like even the first wedding that I shot, they turned all the lights off on me. So like the ceremony happens, and it's a candlelit ceremony, but they never told me those details. But like I'm green, so like I have no idea what I'm doing. And again, show up with a 5D classic. It doesn't even go above 640 ISO, and it's candlelit, and I'm like, I'm screwed. Like I don't have a flash. Like I had nothing. So I'm like, this wedding's tough. So I'm running over like the windows, and I'm opening up blinds, and I'm like, sorry, I'm ruining your vibe, but you're not going to see your wedding if we don't do this. So, it was, but it was, so like moments like that where you just kind of have to be okay with the ebbs and flows. And, I try my best to not be frustrated with them, you know? So even like beginning off photographers that are listening to this, it's like, you're going to get put in a million scenarios over where you're not confident, but it's not about your confidence. It's just about giving everything that you got. That confidence comes, and the things that you learn over the years will benefit you greater if you actually just try than to say that you're not suitable. And because I could tell you, I would say 50% of the time I'm probably not suitable for the things that I do. But that's just the fun part about, you know, showing up and just trying to do everything that you can, and being okay with whatever comes away with it. So,
well, dude, you're one of the very few guys that I know, but that we've ever had the chance to talk to in 4 seasons of this podcast, that is perfectly in your realm. Like you're comfortable in the room with, you know, the big name wedding photographers, the Vanessa Joys and the Summer Graces, and like the people that are kind of like pushing the wedding world forward, as well as sitting in the room with, you know, Cubby Graham and Short Stash, and like the dudes that have like like, you know, that have, right. I mean, at the Visco narrative party, I'm thinking about those moments, and like watching still people gravitate to go over and meet Joe Greer and meet like these guys that you guys have shaped. Genuinely, dude, you have shaped the way on both sides of the wedding fence, the way that this looks and works, the way we market, the way we talk. So I think your humility goes so far in understanding that it's okay to not have it all worked out as long as you're willing to work for it. And Dude, man, I'm blown away that we got there, John.
I love that.
Whew,
we're all in this together, you know. It's so cool to see people's successes, you know, and it's also so cool to see people's failures. I think that's one thing that doesn't get remarked enough. It's like our inability to see failure is a tough one, because if you don't have it, then you're not learning. And so and I don't want to ever be in a posture where I'm not learning, especially in our industry. Just because what purpose does that serve for anybody that we work for? To say that we have all the answers is just wrong. Like I don't believe in that at all. So it's even been fun for me, like in education stuff. Like it's hilarious. Like if I show up to a conference and I get hired to come do education, I'm probably going to piss off the teachers, like the other educators.
Come on.
Because and a lot of it is because they're so convinced about that this X, Y, and Z thing is the thing that pulls up the zipper. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure.
John's like, I kind of like my zipper down. That's where I'm at.
Exactly.
My grinder is broken.
But the thing is, it doesn't separate relationships. I think that's the important part. You know, it's like, do you know Sean Austin Gordon?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met him teaching at a workshop together, and we're doing a panel together. There's like 9 of us photographers on the panel. And I'm coming up with the most ethereal answers to all these questions, because I'm like, these people are so certain. I'm like, there's no, like, I'm like, let's just throw some random stuff out there, because it's true. Like all the stuff I said was true. And they're like, who's your biggest inspiration? I'm like, my mom. And they're all coming up with like all these photographers that have like helped pave the way and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, my mom. She's the initial inspiration for all these things. Because like without her, I'm not even here. And so like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So like for me, I'm just ruffling feathers because I think it's fun, but it's also like true. It's like sometimes those things go missed. It's like, yeah, sometimes our biggest inspirations are the ones that have been in our corner every day of our life. And so like Sean is like, this is so funny. Like we're going back and forth, and he's just like, he would literally stop me mid sentence. He'd be like, no, don't listen to Jon. And now, but the fun part about it is like me and Sean have such a great relationship, and we piggyback off each other a ton, and we learn from each other a ton, and so it's a ton of fun that way. And he's tried to get me to sell albums since day one, and I tell him it's highway robbery. So it's
Dude, this episode brought to you by Kiss Books.
Yeah, which is great. Like if you want to go buy Kiss Books, awesome. Like please do. It's a great company, and it's owned by an awesome individual. And but for me, I just can't muster up the energy to tell my clients that they need to spend that much for an album. So it's but at the time I wasn't even selling albums. I was giving albums after every wedding that I shot, because I had a deal with Artifact Uprising. So I'm spending $20 to give a book. I'm like, this is the easiest thing in the world. I'm like, I'll do that all day long. And he's trying to convince me to spend $2,000. And I'm like, I was like, I can't even reason it in my head. Like it doesn't even make sense. But that's the fun part about our industry, is I think that all these things do serve a purpose, and all of them have value, and some of them make sense for some people, and some of them make sense for others. And I think that it's healthy to do the back and forth, but to be stuck in your ways and to be so convincing that you have to spend the $3,000 a month to operate as a photographer, I think that's a lie. And I don't think that you need to spend all your money on CRMs. I don't think you need to spend all your money on crazy marketing tools. It's like, there's amazing things that exist that help us get across the finish line. One of them is just doing the work. Secondly is going to get coffee with somebody. You never know what going to get a cup of coffee can do with somebody. And you never know what relationships those can form and what opportunities those can bring, especially when you build trust versus trying to put another $20 a day into a Facebook ad. And you're going to spend less going to get a cup of coffee. So there's just so many perspectives that it's like, that I would say it's like, let's rattle the cage a little bit, and let's encourage our industry to, think bigger and better. And you still use all the things of resources of people like yourself and the others that are in our industry that have such great value to bring. It's like, yeah, use all those things, but then also rattle the cage a little bit. I think you deserve to do that. And because I think there's so much on the other side of those perspectives.
Bro, I am so glad that you got to run into Jon at Imaging and got connected with him and got him on the podcast. I feel like that's how all these podcasts are coming together, where it's like, I met this guy and he's awesome and we need to get him on here to talk. But I felt like all the stuff he had to share was so relatable.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like he just spoke to, isn't it funny how many conversations you and I have had, even behind the scenes in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, about our commercial work, our wedding work, just struggles that we're having as business owners. And Jon just gave us permission to actually, I think, have all those feels. Like he spoke right to some of the questions that we've had about how we're doing work and if we're doing work the right way, and like what happens if we want to edit this differently. And that was really powerful, man. It was really cool. Hey, can you tell everybody a little bit about what they can expect over in the guest experts in the aftercast? Because he teed himself up for something really powerful over there.
Yeah. We landed on this niching up. Okay, we talk about niching down all the time. Well, Jon's going to talk about niching up and kind of what that looks like. And we even go through his website, coming through some very cool things that I didn't even know, especially in the music industry, which like really interests me a lot. And just hearing him talk through that. But it felt like it all comes back to like a true north of relationships, to where like I walked away from the aftercast just really feeling as if like we're on the right track. Like people are what are most important. And from Jon's perspective, even in all the genres that he's in, it's still about people. And so hearing him talk about that, it was really, really special.
Yeah, so I think, listeners, if you guys are the type of photographers, type of creatives that struggle a little bit with feeling like a little against the grain, you know, like everybody else seems like they have it all pulled together, and you for some reason feel as though you don't have it all pulled together. I hope this episode, but also I hope that this aftercast over in the platform speaks to you directly. I think Jon gives us permission in like a very tangible way, just gives us permission to be artists again. And that is my favorite.